Hi guys, in this short demo I'll show you how I approach mixing red colors for realistic oil painting. There are dozens of red pigments on the market, and it's exactly why so many painters get stuck. Too many choices, no clear direction. So let's cut through the noise and take control of red. Let's take a look at the red strawberry from my latest workshop as an example. The key thing always is to understand what kind of light is illuminating your subject. In this case, the still life was lit by natural light. That means direct sunlight, which naturally carries a warm yellow-orange tone. The second light source is the blue sky that usually surrounds the sun. And that's exactly why realism is built on the interaction between warm and cool colors. The light hitting the strawberry is never just warm or just cool. It's always a combination of both. And once you understand the balance, the mixing starts to make sense. The color we need to mix is always a combination of two things: the local color of the object and the color of the light. Let's start with the lit part of the strawberry. This area is hit by the primary light source, the sun, which naturally warms the red. As my base color, I choose cadmium red deep. It's rich, saturated, and already leans toward warmth. Cadmium red medium would work as well, but using deep is simply my personal habit. Either way, straight from the tube, the color is too dark. It needs to be lightened. And the first thing most people think is adding white, right? But here's the problem. White is a cool color. When you mix it into red, the warmth collapses. As you can see, the warm red instantly turns into a cold pink. And yes, that color can be useful, just not for what we are trying to achieve here. So the key lies into the color spectrum itself. If you look at the color wheel, red in its lighter range naturally sits next to yellow. And that's why when lightening red, you should follow the spectrum. By adding yellow to red, whether it's cadmium yellow deep or a medium yellow, you can lighten the red without losing saturation. The color shifts slightly toward the yellow-orange range, which is exactly what we want. The light itself is yellow-orange, and the local color of the strawberry is red. Together, they create an orange leading red. That's how you get a lighter red that still feels rich, warm, and saturated. And if you need to push the value even higher, you can add a touch of white, but really just a touch, enough to lift the value without stealing the warmth and intensity of the red. An even better choice for lightening red is Naples Yellow Light. It's warm, and unlike white, it doesn't stripe the color of its temperature. The next color we need is the halftone, the area where the surface of the strawberry starts turning away from the warm light source and gradually faces the cooler light of the blue sky. According to the rules of classical oil painting, the halftone is always cooler compared to the light, and cooler than the shadow. And yes, for those of you who already have some experience, this is exactly where gray underpainting plays an important role. When gray is present underneath and allowed to show through, it naturally cools the color in this area. But in this case, we don't have any gray working for us, so we need to mix that cooling directly on the palette. I almost always start the halftone by modifying the original local color. To cool it down, I usually reach for a lighter, warmer blue, often mixed of ultraviolet violet and white, or sometimes King's blue. Notice what happens here. By adding a light blue, which is still darker than the base light color, the red becomes cooler and darker at the same time. And that's exactly what we need, a darker, cooler red for the halftone. You could also achieve this by using ultramarine blue directly, or even a cool green as a complementary color, for example Viridian. The result would be slightly different in hue, but still perfectly usable. The real key here is value. The color must be dark enough to sit in the halftone and cool enough to turn away from the warm light. How you get there isn't the most important thing. There are several valid paths. What truly matters is knowing what you need to mix before you touch the palette. Now, let's move into the shadow color. Again, the obvious solution might seem simple. Just darken the red with black, right? Yes, black will lower the value and darken the red, but what happens to temperature and saturation? Both drop as well, and that's exactly what we don't want here. Not for the strawberry. Black can be a useful tool, and in very small amounts it can work in certain extreme situations. But you always need to be aware that adding black pulls the color toward neutrality, killing warmth and reducing saturation. If that's what the situation calls for, fine. A red mixed with black can work in some context, but not for our subject. This strawberry is alive, rich and saturated. It's sitting on the table and light is bouncing back from that surface, warming the shadow. So even in the shadow, the red doesn't die. It shifts, deepens, and cools slightly, but it always stays vibrant. Instead of using black, it's much better to reach for colors that already live within the red spectrum, for example, burnt umber or transparent oxide red. Both of these colors are significantly darker than cadmium red, yet still retain strong saturation. By adding them to red, you lower the value without destroying its intensity. In practice, both are perfectly usable for darkening. Burnt umber pushes the red slightly toward a brown feel, while still keeping it rich and solid, and most importantly, the mixture remains more opaque. Transparent oxide red, on the other hand, darkens the red while keeping it cleaner and less brown, but the mixture becomes more transparent and less covering. So the choice depends on how much opacity you need in that area. Most of the time, I actually use a combination of both to keep things balanced. And only in the very darkest accents, when I need to push the value even further, I'll introduce a tiny amount of black, very gently and very carefully. Just as the local color in the light can be adjusted toward warmer or cooler tones, the color in the shadow can be modified in the same way. By adding ultramarine blue and viridian, you can shift the shadow toward cooler tones. By working with variations of burnt umber and transparent oxide red, you can push it back toward warmth. It's a good idea to fill a shadow with a single flat value. The surface of the form is constantly changing its orientation, and with that, the amount of light hitting it changes as well. That shift directly affects the color, its value, saturation, and temperature, with every subtle turn of plane in relation to the light source. Once you understand that color is not fixed but constantly shaped by light, direction, and form, mixing stops being guesswork. It becomes a consciousness decision, guided by observation, not by habit. And that's it, my friends. If you want to see more of my videos, just hit join, become part of the community, and head over to the Old Masters tier where you will find more tutorials and full-length painting sessions. If you want to go even further, you'll find much more on my Patreon. By joining and choosing a membership, you get immediate access to over 100 posts and videos, full painting processes, tutorials, guides, and everything that happens behind the scenes in my studio. It's all about painting without shortcuts. If you're serious about developing your craft, that's where the deeper work happens. And if you are into cool stickers, prints, and merch, make sure to check out my website at mademerch.com. You will find regular sales there, and you can get 10% off your entire order by using the discount code MADESALE at the checkout. You can also find me on Instagram and Patreon if you want to stay connected and see more of my work. See you around, and don't forget to grab some merch. Bye bye.